You are driving over a highway bridge. It went up maybe 40 years ago, and it is already falling apart. Rusty streaks bleed down the gray concrete, chunks have flaked off the underside, and there is scaffolding propping it up because engineers are nervous. Now picture a concrete dome in Rome, no steel inside it, open to the rain, standing for almost 2,000 years. It has outlived the empire that poured it, and it will very likely outlive you and me too. So here is the uncomfortable question. How did the Romans, with no power tools, no chemistry labs, no steel bars, make concrete that lasts 20 times longer than ours? And here is the part that should really bother you. We forgot how they did it, completely, for over 1,000 years. Let that sink in. Let's start with the obvious, because it is the thing your brain refuses to accept. We assume newer means better, faster phones, faster cars, better everything. But with concrete, the single most used building material on the planet, that arrow points backwards. The stuff a Roman crew mixed by hand in the year 120 is, in the ways that actually matter, better than what a modern plant pumps out today. Not stronger on day one, tougher across centuries. To see why, you need to know what concrete even is. And it is simpler than you think. You take a glue, you take some rocks, and you take water. The rocks are the cheap filler, the aggregate. The water triggers the reaction, the glue is the clever part, and it is called lime. Burn limestone, grind it, add water, and it turns into a paste that slowly hardens back into stone, locking the rocks together. That is concrete. Rome ran on it. So do we. But here's what nobody puts in the brochure. Modern concrete has a dirty secret, and its name is steel. To make concrete carry heavy loads, we bury steel bars inside it, rebar. Steel is strong, so this works beautifully for a while. Because water and air eventually seep through the concrete, reach the steel, and the steel does the one thing steel always does. It rusts, and rust swells. It expands and pushes outward with enormous force, cracking the concrete from the inside out. That is those rusty streaks and falling chunks on your local bridge. The concrete is not really the problem. The skeleton inside it is rotting. And once it starts, there is no stopping it. This is why a modern reinforced structure is often designed to last 50 to 100 years, and many do not even make it that far. We are, quite literally, building things we expect to tear down. The Romans were playing a completely different game. So what was in the Roman mix? The secret ingredient was volcanic ash. Specifically a gray ash from the region around the Bay of Naples, near a town called Pozzuoli, which is why we still call it Pozzolana today. The Romans noticed that when they mixed this particular ash with their lime, something special happened. The result set harder, held up in water, and refused to fall apart. They did not know the chemistry, they just knew it worked, and they used it everywhere. And they wrote it down. An architect named Vitruvius described the recipe 2,000 years ago. Proportions of lime, ash, and rock in a manual builders would reference for centuries. This was not a lucky accident poured by peasants. It was a documented, refined industrial technology. The Romans were running the ancient equivalent of a materials science program, and their lab notes survived. Here is what the ash actually does. Ordinary lime just reacts with air to harden, slowly and weakly. But volcanic ash is loaded with reactive silica and alumina. When it meets lime and water, it kicks off a deeper reaction that grows tough, interlocking crystals right through the material. The concrete does not just dry, it grows a mineral structure inside itself, and that structure keeps developing for years after the pour. Now for the part that sounds made up. Seawater is the great destroyer of modern concrete. Salt water attacks the steel, chews through the cement, and coastal structures crumble fast. So what did the Romans do? They built harbors, piers, and breakwaters directly in the sea on purpose out of this concrete. And instead of dissolving, those structures got stronger. Researchers who drilled into Roman marine concrete found something incredible. Seawater was not attacking it. Seawater was seeping through it and driving new mineral growth. Rare crystals called aluminous tobermorite were forming inside the material over the centuries, reinforcing it exactly where a modern structure would fail. The Romans built weapons against the ocean, and the ocean spent 2,000 years making them harder. Some of these harbors are still down there. The breakwaters at places like Caesarea and the ruins in the Bay of Naples have sat in salt water since before the fall of the empire. By every rule of modern engineering, they should be long gone. They are not. That should feel a little bit impossible, and it points straight at the strangest secret of all. For a long time, there was a mystery hiding in plain sight. If you look closely at Roman concrete, it is speckled with small white chunks, little lumps of lime scattered all through it. For decades, scientists looked at those lumps and assumed the Romans were just sloppy. Bad mixing, low quality control, a flaw. Everyone basically agreed the white bits were a mistake. Everyone was wrong. In 2023, a team of researchers took a much closer look and flipped the whole story. Those white lumps, called lime clasts, are not a mistake. They are the secret. They are thousands of tiny built-in repair kits, baked into the concrete on purpose, waiting. The clue was in how the Romans mixed it. Instead of gently slaking their lime with water first, the way modern textbooks would tell you to, they appeared to have used a hotter, more aggressive method, mixing in raw quicklime at high temperature. That hot mixing is what leaves those little lime lumps behind. And those lumps are exactly what makes the material heal itself. Here is the trick, and it is beautiful. When a crack forms in the concrete and starts to spread, it eventually runs into one of those lime clasts. Then rainwater gets into the crack. The water hits the lime clast and dissolves it into a calcium-rich solution. That solution flows into the crack and, within weeks, recrystallizes into fresh calcium carbonate, brand new stone that fills the gap and seals it shut. The crack heals before it can grow into a real problem. Researchers tested this directly. They made concrete the Roman way, cracked it deliberately, and ran water through the crack. In the Roman-style samples, the crack sealed itself and the water stopped flowing. In modern control samples with no lime clasts, the water just kept running through the gap forever. The Roman material fixed its own wound. Ours cannot even try. And remember, there is no steel in it, no rusting skeleton waiting to blow the whole thing apart. Just rock, lime, volcanic ash, and thousands of little repair kits standing by. That is the real reason the dome in Rome is still standing while your 40-year-old bridge needs scaffolding. Which brings us to the flex. The Pantheon in Rome has a concrete dome 43 meters across, and it has been the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world for 19 centuries. Nobody has beaten it. Not with steel, not with computers, not with modern cement. And the Romans were clever about it in ways we still admire. They graded the mix using heavy, dense rock at the bottom of the dome where the loads are highest, and light volcanic pumice near the top to keep the weight down. They engineered the material zone, by feel and experience, and got it so right that it has held up its own ceiling through earthquakes for 2,000 years. The Colosseum, the aqueducts, the Great Baths, the entire skyline of the empire, all of it stood on this one quiet material. Now, hold on. Some of you are already objecting. Is not modern concrete stronger? And yes, fair point, it absolutely is. If you measure raw compressive strength on day one, modern concrete crushed the Roman stuff. We can make it harder, faster, and to a precise number every single time. But that is the trap. We optimized for the wrong thing. We chased maximum strength and minimum cost and fastest cure time, and we quietly gave up durability to get there. We built for a 50-year budget cycle, not a 2,000-year monument. So the honest answer is not that the Romans had better technology than us. It is that they were solving a different problem, and their answer just happens to embarrass ours. And no, we cannot simply switch over tomorrow. Roman concrete cures slowly. It does not hit high early strength, and our entire construction industry, our codes, our schedules, our steel-reinforced designs are built around the fast modern stuff. Copying Rome is not a recipe swap, it is a rethink of how we build everything. And here is the part that should genuinely bother you. We did not just fail to match Roman concrete, we lost it. When the empire came apart, the trade networks that moved that volcanic ash collapsed, the big organized building projects stopped, and the knowledge quietly faded out. For more than 1,000 years, Europe basically could not make good concrete at all. The recipe was sitting right there in old books, and nobody could put it back together. It was not until the 1700s and 1800s that we reinvented modern cement from scratch, a different formula, born in a hurry, optimized for speed. And now we pour so much of it that cement production alone is responsible for around 8% of the world's carbon emissions. We make more concrete than anything else on Earth except water, and most of it is designed to crack, rust, and be torn down within a lifetime. But here is the warm part: scientists are finally taking Rome seriously. Those same researchers who cracked the self-healing mystery are now working on concrete that repairs itself the Roman way, materials that could last centuries instead of decades, and cut the endless carbon cost of tearing down and rebuilding. The future of the most modern material on the planet might turn out to be 2,000 years old. So back to that crumbling bridge, now you know why it is failing while a Roman dome shrugs off the centuries. No rusting steel, volcanic ash that grows crystals for years. Seawater that makes it stronger instead of weaker. And thousands of tiny lime repair kits that heal every crack before it spreads. We are the ones with the labs, the computers, and the steel, and we are still trying to catch up to a recipe a Roman wrote down by hand. The most advanced building material of the future, the 2,000-year-old idea we were careless enough to forget. So the next time you see a bridge held up by scaffolding, you know exactly who to blame. Blame it on Rome.